Welcome back to the Artist Forge live stream on Thursday, the Artist Forge on identity this week. Want to welcome the wonderful Matt and the lovely Bassam and the gorgeous Becca. Hi, friends.
Hello, everyone.
All right, y'all, if you are here today, if you are watching, I see we have 7 friends across multiple platforms. So if you guys are here, leave us a comment. We want to say hi. We'll pull your comment up on the screen. Let everybody know you're here. Hopefully everybody is doing well this evening. So how are you all this evening? How have you been since our chat this morning?
Sitting right here for, what was that, the past 12 hours. So yeah, it's been a really productive day. So tonight's webinar is going to be fueled by Basil Hayden's. And it's a dark rye, and I'm highbrowing it tonight. So
fancy. I am drinking water from a pickle jar. So
yeah,
class. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah. How are you?
So glad to have Sarah with us. Oh, Facebook user. Is anybody monitoring the Facebook page? Who is it?
Erica.
Erica. Hi, Erica. Remember, friends, if you want us to be able to see what your name is, you have to make sure that you give StreamYard permission. It's just a thing they make you do. So hello, hello. Becca, Bassam, how about you guys? How are you this evening?
Ladies first.
Coffee. Coffee.
That's an answer.
Hey, Tyler.
Hello, Tyler. I love seeing Tyler's updates as his business is launching and stuff, and they're so good, Tyler. They're so good.
But he's still working full time. I didn't just realize that today from his post.
He's a bad mamma jamma. Hi, Claudia.
Yeah. Well, my day was similar to Matt's. I've been in this chair almost all day until, I don't know, maybe a couple of hours ago. And yeah, relatively productive day.
Yep. That's good to hear. Just about the same. I'm about to reset up my my treadmill. Who's our Facebook user?
Anthony.
Anthony. Hi, Anthony.
What is this
and Nina.
exercise and hydration thing that I don't understand any of this?
Yeah, that's because you live in a state full of lots of water.
It's minus 21 outside. I'm not doing anything. I'm exercising my right to sit right here is what I'm doing.
I want healthy kidneys, man. That's what it's all about. I got to keep them healthy. All right, so we're so glad to see everybody with us today. Look, we have so many friends joining us.
Kelly.
Hi, lovely. So excited to have everybody with us. All right, so let me introduce the topic that we have talked about for the last couple of weeks. It's kind of broad, but we're going to narrow it down some. And then we will get into our January challenge for visual literacy. We had everybody go out and make art with their cell phones. And so we're going to be able to check out quite a few of those amazing pieces of art in just a little bit. But first, over the last couple of weeks, we've been on kind of a philosophy kick. We've been talking about a lot of psychology and philosophy, things like how we discover our identity and where the bounds, the ends of our identity meet other people's perceptions and how those things play off of each other. We talked about how we make decisions and how we deal with fear and just a whole bunch of things over the last couple of weeks. So I wanted to start by asking everybody in the audience today and then friends on the panel, what were some of the things that you found the most interesting or the most profound over the last couple of weeks? Because it's been a lot of really varied conversation, really good conversation. And I know that there were a couple things that stood out for me. So I was just wondering, what stood out for you guys? This is for the audience as well.
You know, I think for me, the 3 big topics, and I missed a few discussions last week, but the 3 big topics that have really kind of hit home for me lately have been originality, the topic of originality, growth, and also today's session on overwhelm was really good, really timely. But yeah, I'm really digging the direction that we've had in some of these conversations because it's just forced me particularly to remain a little bit more self-aware and keep looking inward and asking myself these questions, right? You don't often ask yourself, what do I think about originality in my own work, right? You just kind of do the thing. So to kind of sit with it and really give it some thought about, what do I consider growth? What do I consider originality? Does it apply? What are my views? What are my beliefs? I just kind of operate like they're there, but I don't really have any firm beliefs around this stuff that I've decided on. So it's been nice to be able to look inwards and hear what other people think of it, and go through, especially the topic of originality really hit home to me. So yeah, it's been an awesome couple of weeks.
Yeah, I really enjoyed today's conversation about overwhelm and that whole subject. But I have to admit, I'm going to make an admission here. Over the past couple of weeks, I must admit that sometimes I felt like I'm when you're sitting in a room and you're listening to people speak a foreign language, and you kind of understand a little bit. You're kind of aware of that language. You get the gist of what they're saying, but you just miss all the essentials, and it's like over your head. I have to admit, I felt like that in a couple of those discussions, because when you and Becca get into the artsy stuff, oh my God, I can't keep up with you guys. I really can't. And I feel like I don't know. I feel like I don't belong sometimes. But you know what? Oh no, I don't mean it in a bad way. So yeah, that's how I felt sometimes. But I really enjoyed the conversations, and I commend you guys at the art, how articulate you are when it comes to your passion on the art side of things. Because as you know, I struggle with calling myself an artist, but I really appreciate it. And so when it comes down to more practical things, I connect more, and I'm more in my comfort zone, and that's why the originality discussion, today's discussion, were really really valuable for me. Not that the others are not valuable, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, sometimes things just hit at the right time. Oh, go ahead, Becca.
I was gonna say, but I mean, that's how you get more fluent, right? Like that's why things like immersion schools exist.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Another language, like you sit down and you watch, kids shows in whatever language that is, or whatever it might be. Like you have to put yourself in those situations to start speaking that language, whatever it is.
Yeah, but I guess I was trying to say I feel like I'm that imposter syndrome when I'm trying to participate in that discussion. So I take that backseat and listen. I say, hey, listen, I'm just learning as much as anybody else, and it's extremely valuable to be part of those discussions for me, and to expand my horizon, as they say.
I dig the fact that we're doing all these things, and it's not the pat on the back thing, but I don't get these conversations anywhere else, right? I don't get the chance to go into some of the other forums and have these conversations, because it's always about technique, or it's always about equipment, or another artist and their work, and it always leads to comparison or feelings of lack. And we lost Nicole. So it always leads me to some of these feelings, and it never leaves me with a great feeling. I might get some good information, get some good knowledge, but I never get a great feeling about the conversation that I'm having. But when I get to have some of these conversations, a little bit more esoteric, a little bit more metaphysical, I think it sparks my brain, fires some different neurons, right? And I'm able to learn a little bit more about myself and the topic at hand. I just don't find that anywhere else, and I'm really digging it. And I hope other people are too, because I think it comes across. We can feel the emotion, we can feel the passion when people start talking about this stuff, that there's a need and a thirst for it out there. So I just like being in these conversations every day.
Yeah, me too. And I so much appreciate that vulnerability with Sam, because it's not always easy to be like, I don't quite feel like I'm there with you guys when you're having those discussions. And I've definitely felt a few times over the past couple of weeks, like I was really being challenged by these conversations, because those times when you take these questions that you have, like, is something important, or how do we deal with it when our perception of ourselves doesn't match up with how other people perceive us? And you get to challenge those things. And then you hear people say things that are just so insightful and erudite. And you're like, I don't even feel like I could be able to respond to that now. It's kind of overwhelming. And then at the same time, like, as Becca mentioned, it's really cool also to be wrong, and to not be there yet, and to hear people have those conversations and be like, okay, let me sit back and take this in a minute, and challenge myself for a second, because maybe I wasn't quite there on it. You know what I mean? if that makes any sense.
And I'm glad to see that Carol agrees that she says, what? That's how I feel about the photography talk. Yeah. So.
No, I get it. I feel this. I feel the same way you do, Bassam. Quite frankly, when Becca and Nicole get into like art and illustration, and especially like fantasy worlds, and Becca dropped the word bibliophile this morning, and I was just like, all right, let me look up what that means. No, it has something to do with bibs. I don't know what it is, but I was like, all right, someone wrote something. So it was, yeah, no, you're not on that island alone, my friend.
Yep, I think we all float there a little while. So we've heard from a couple of our friends so far that the conversation around originality was amazing. I think what I really appreciate about that conversation was that we got to hear a lot of individual views, but it's not as if we walked away going, well, here's the answer that everybody should do, and that's what's important, right? We went, well, for some people it is. For some people, this is really important. And for other people, it just hurts. So we have to be able to do those dives for ourselves and figure out, is this something I need, right? And then Tyler mentioning today's conversation as we were talking about, that overwhelm of how we make decisions when there are so many possibilities. And like, as I said, that was the big struggle for me. And I didn't realize that so many other people were going through exactly the same thing. We know the feels, man. So yeah, what were your kind of favorite things that stuck with you today, friends in the audience? Like, what were some of the things that you really picked up over the last couple of weeks? I wanted to make sure to actually share, to kind of reshare Wynn's quote. So we were talking last week about our self-perception and how that kind of helps us portray who we want to be. And then understanding that the way that other people perceive us doesn't always line up with that. So what happens when your reality crashes against the way other people perceive you? And Becca was like, well, where are the boundaries for that? And what happens when those two things meet? And so I believe, were you the one that mentioned if you're a duck but think you're an eagle, like, there's a disconnect there? And then so Wynn started talking about the fact that if you're a duck that believes they're an eagle and you behave like an eagle, that's still going to make you the biggest, baddest duck that flies the highest and is the strongest and all of those things. And I was like, dang, that is such a good comparison and a way to look at that, because yeah, maybe you'll never catch a fish and maybe you'll never really be an eagle, but you're going to be the baddest duck around. And I felt that in my soul, and now I want to like wear it on a t-shirt or something.
That'll be my homework this week. Make that shirt.
Yes. We need some artist sport merch. Baddest duck will be the first one.
I always feel like Wynn shows up with that Socratic wisdom, right? He just lets everybody think, and then he's just like, all right, that was adorable, what you guys all thought. Let me just drop some real knowledge on everybody. And it was fantastic because it was so concise and such a well-constructed analogy, just taking the duck and the eagle. And really, I mean, if anybody's here, go to the Instagram page and just listen to it. It's about a minute long, and it is so perfect. And I'm like, at the end where he's talking about, yeah, and if people don't, the other ducks don't think you're an eagle, then like, screw them, like you still are the baddest duck on the planet. And it really made me laugh and question everything about my own self-confidence. It was perfect. It was perfect.
I loved it. Also, can we just give Becca like 12 thumbs up for like the badass animations she does for the Instagram? Because those are so freaking cool. I love them so much.
Yay. Totally agree.
Yeah, they're so good.
Use an app.
So you still do the stuff.
Please
take
share.
Credit when people try to give it for you. So friends in the audience, come on, let us know. Because before too long, we're going to start getting into your images that you made and shared. So we want to hear from you. What were your thoughts about the conversations over the last couple weeks? Becca, was there anything that really stuck with you?
Well, I mean, we've been kind of following this philosophy theme a little bit. And like I broached the question last week of, why do you seek out art, and trying to take that step back and looking at ourselves as audience. And we kind of got into like our biological needs there. And we've been doing that through a lot of our conversations. Like, what is the like neurological and biological drive that makes us do these things and think these things, and how does that then relate to how we communicate to our audience? And that is just like really stuck in my head lately. Like, how can I manipulate the animals that look at my work to the best of my ability, you know? And how do I manipulate myself as animal? Like, if I stop thinking about myself within the greater context of having been cursed with consciousness that is being human, how do I manipulate myself to be more efficient, to be more creative, to be more original? And that's kind of where my head's been at. And all these conversations have been tapping into that in various ways.
And that is the day that I felt like I'm in a room listening to a foreign language. Now I remember which day that was, among others, but that was the icing on the cake for me to be.
I mean, we've been touching on that a little bit from various, aspects, like even the, are you a duck or are you an eagle or are you a bluebird kind of conversation, or, how important is that originality when it comes to communicating and sharing experience with others, or even the overwhelm. Like, that's just, again, something that we biologically experience. Our brains can only handle so much of certain stimuli before they can't function correctly. So all these things come down to like our bodies and our brains as functions. It's not just how we think, it's how we actually are built.
Yeah, I mean, we're having a biological experience, right? Like that is the truth of it. The same way that if your car was driving down the road and it started shaking, you'd go, uh-oh, why is my car shaking? Is that a flat tire? Like, you having that experience of driving the car. We're having this experience of driving our bodies. And so there are, levers that we can pull. And when we understand how things work, and I thought it was really interesting as well to hear everybody say how much connection, like recognizing that when you're looking at a piece of art, you're connecting with another human being. That was a pretty incredible thing to think about, because of course we all have these individual things we look for art at. I don't understand what just happened to me. We all have individual reasons we look at art, really specific things that we love, right? Like fantasy art does one thing for me. And when I look at abstract art, it gives me a different kind of a feeling. But always there's this sense of connection, and to know that people are looking at and for that in art means that it just reinforces how important we are, right? Like, not just the piece of art that it's divorced from us once it goes out into the world, but us, how critical it is that we're the one who made that art. So Carol, Atomic Habits is very popular. Waiting list of 100 people at the library. Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, good job, James Clear, for writing that book. Yeah, it stinks that you have to wait that long. Carol, send me your address. I will buy you a copy. Just send me that on Facebook and I will send you a copy. I got you.
Don't post it in the comments.
Yeah, don't post it in the comments. We don't want to, unless you want everybody to just send you random things, we could do that as well. Okay, so we're at about 20 minutes in, so we want to make sure that we have time to do some of this visual literacy. We want to always use our visual literacy muscles. And so we asked everybody over the last few weeks to go take pictures with your cell phone, make some art, do something that we can share, and have a look at that. And that was just the only thing. Has to be with your cell phone camera. That's it. And so we got a lot of really cool and super varied photos that we get to look at today. So we're going to try to go through as many as we can. So, oh, we didn't know it was your birthday. Well, happy belated birthday, Carol. Happy birthday. We're so glad to have you with us. All right, so
Hey, hold
let's
on a second. She said, push your address, return address for some art. Carol, I'll send you 2 copies.
Pretty soon, everybody's going to be like, I didn't get any Carol art.
I'm just starting to see Carol outside a library hawking copies of Atomic Habits to cut down that waiting list, and business in the making. I love this.
Hi, Carolyn. Yay. We're glad to have you, because yours is the first photo we're going to look at today, Carolyn. So fancy time. Okay. I'm about to share my screen. Oh, that is not the one we want to share. All right. So let me get rid of our goodie here. So this is the photo that Carolyn shared with us. Here we're going to begin, of course. This is taken with a cell phone camera. So as a reminder to everybody in the audience today, the first thing we want to do when we look at an image is just give the initial impression. We don't want to critique it, don't want to try to break it down. How is it making you feel when you look at this image? So what are our first thoughts here, y'all? Friends in the audience, you respond to.
I feel small. Like I am the presence of something much bigger and grander than myself. Yeah.
So maybe a little bit of awe, huh?
A little bit of awe.
Carol said peaceful. That was my thought as well. I feel peaceful.
I don't know which way is up or down. Like I feel just absorbed into this thing. Yeah, it's gorgeous. I feel very small. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
I was gonna say serene, but Erica took it away from me.
Oh, she stole it, that stealer.
Bad girl.
Oh, yeah, that's a good observation there at multiple levels there. Yep, it's more serenity. So as we look at this image, and a lot of us are feeling the same kind of peaceful and serene, some awe, what is it about this image that's giving us those feelings? So I'll grab one thing. For me, partly it's the color, right? We've got these beautiful blues and these kind of cool yellows, it's some magenta orange starting to happen in the clouds. So I think that really contributes to the feeling of peace. What else?
I can imagine like the people in the picture, they feel that way. I can see that. Like I can see their feeling. Right.
Yeah, I think the size of the people in the frame too contribute to that feeling of smallness.
For me, it's all the leading lines sweeping me into the people from above, and then the reflection in the foreground in this perfectly level horizon. And it just kind of, the composition on this just kills me. It's awesome. And so, yeah, it just gives me this sense that we're looking at something so huge, itty bitty people in it, but they're still large enough to be prominent, and you get this sense. I love all these lines that curve you right into the subjects.
Yeah.
That low angle is contributing to that smallness too. I mean, we're very much down at the ground and looking up, and there's that beautiful sense of scale with the tiny little silhouettes in the background. And like, I mean, I know just the natural phenomena that is sunset, but just the way that there is that backlight, just a tiny little bit of glow coming into the clouds, it kind of creates that sort of sense of, I don't want to say holiness, but like there's something there, you know, that's coming through and glowing. And I mean, that's why you see like all these kind of like beautifully lit clouds like that in a lot of like more classical religious art too. Like you've got this like holy heavenly feel in that color palette and in that glow, and it's just like, oh, bam.
Yeah, we are in the chapel of nature, aren't we?
Oh, I love that. Yes.
Yes. All right. Since we can't use a whole bunch of time on each one, we're going to keep on moving, but this is a lovely shot, Carolyn. Also, high five for this dynamic range. Like, dang, that's pretty great. Sarah also sharing the colors, blue and yellow, reminds me of the colors in House of Cards show. I feel like something will happen soon. Ooh, that's an interesting little piece of visual literacy there, kind of tying into our own personal experiences. Love that. All right, we're going to go ahead.
One last comment. If it wasn't for the water in the back, like the ocean water or the sea water, it looks, because of the foreground, it looks like a top of a volcano to me. I don't know why.
Oh.
Right? But the water in the back gives it away, obviously. But
right. Yeah. So we love the composition, the colors, the lighting, the sense of scale, having the people in there, those leading lines, all really super strong. She said it is Lake Huron. All right. So jumping out of this one and into the next. So we're going to look at two images by Wynn here. Here, why do we always have these? Here is the first image. So let's get some just initial impressions, guys. Remember, gut feeling. So audience, how do we feel about this one? Panelists, how does this one make us feel?
Scientific.
Distant, not necessarily distant in that, just distance, the sense of distance. And I'll tell you why after. Well, it looks like could be a picture taken from way up in space. I don't know. Or
tangled, scattered.
I just keep thinking biology, bio something, right? Neurons in a brain, the veins in a leaf, the from 30,000 feet tidal pools, like whatever it is. I'm just feeling this sense of biology and life,
30,000 feet or really close to a microscope. I mean, two different perspectives of,
neurons, otherworldly, unorganized.
Green.
It makes me uncomfortable. Like, I can't find a place for my eyes to stay. They just jitter everywhere. And I don't want to get into the reasons why, but that's how I feel. I'm uncomfortable. I can't settle. Science. How about you, Becca?
I think the uncomfortable might be the right term. I can't think of the term for how it makes me feel, but I can think of all those many associations that have been made already. Matt in particular hit a lot of my initial first impressions.
Yeah.
But it is uncomfortable. It's it feels alive.
So Sarah's saying same feeling as Bassam, kind of like looking at a city from an airplane or high in the sky.
Hey,
so it
Nicole,
sounds like
there's something up in the left quadrant. It almost looks like a ship or something. It's a different color. Keep going down that right there. Yeah. Is that part of it, or am I seeing it differently on my screen? Is that a thing?
Let me see here. It looks like, sorry. Since these
or is
are
it just a
camera
differentiation?
phones, it's hard to tell. It looks like maybe something.
I didn't know if I was missing something on my screen.
It's a cruise missile.
That's what I was. Yeah, it's exactly the shape of it.
That's what it is. And then I love biology. Maybe that's why I enjoy this so much. So let's start trying to break down. We had a lot of people who are they're kind of feeling that also, scattered, frazzled, uncomfortable, unorganized, unable to focus, a lot of distance. So what do we think is giving us these feelings if we can pinpoint that visually? I know the green is part of the discomfort for me. That color of green is not a healthy color of green. So I'm like, woo.
Well, I think the word chaos comes to mind. I mean, there's, when we talked about no pattern, it's chaos when you look at it, right?
Organic, Olga saying.
Yeah, it's the connectedness that really kind of sinks home to me, right? You've got all this chaos, but there's all these tendrils that are connecting to each other. And the more you zoom in, the more you see. And, it's starting
there's a lot
to
of
draw
depth.
me in. Yeah, a lot of depth. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this could very easily be mesas, patterns, mountains, and here's cities and highways between them, or neurons, or... So Carolyn saying the eye doesn't know where to go. Erica saying no true pattern, chaos. You stole it, Bassam. You keep stealing words.
She's just getting back at me.
The toddler input is that it feels like a leaf, like a close-up of a leaf.
Ah, that's a good input, toddler.
It's funny. I was just gonna say a vine leaf.
Yeah. So then here's something really interesting now. What we're going to do is look at the other photo when shared. Using the same thing, he imposed some human pattern on it. So the reason I wanted to share this and why I found this so interesting is because before we have that really incredibly organic feel, and all of a sudden now we have order in some measure imposed. We have something repeating, some pattern starting to happen here that very clearly doesn't feel completely natural, right? So how do we feel when we look at this one. What are the differences? Dennis. Hello, Dennis. So glad to have Dennis.
I feel like
So
I'm about to
interesting
get
depth.
eaten.
I agree there.
I'm gonna get eaten by an alien. Is how I feel looking at this one.
Yeah,
It
this
has
one
a mouth.
makes me feel more uncomfortable than the last one, even though there's more order in it. I keep looking at this maw in the middle of this.
Stonefish. Looks like
And
a
it just
stonefish.
this makes me uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable.
Oh, blueprint of a Persian rug.
Yeah, I thought rug right away, carpet.
The sense of math that's everywhere in nature. Yeah. Carol getting excited because the patterns are showing up. Oh, something more is happening there. We'll wait for the rest of the sense that's happening. Yeah, but I just thought it was so interesting to look back and forth. Oh, Shroud of Turin. For those of you who don't know, that is supposedly the shroud Jesus was buried in. Area 51-ish. So we got that otherworldliness, right? That kind of alien quality imposed on this pattern.
You know what it reminds me of?
Less
Like your
comfortable
typical,
with them. Too balanced in this one. Go ahead, Bassam.
your typical playing cards, you know, like the back of playing cards.
I totally see that.
Yeah. Vegas. All you need
That's
is a little hole in
wild.
the middle of it.
Totally.
That's wild. So I'm going to go just back and forth for a second so we can kind of see how these two things are related, and that we have super organic, we have pattern imposed by man on nature. Oh, it does kind of. You remember those optical illusion patterns? You'd stare at them until your eyes went buggy.
It's a ship. Yeah, I totally get it.
Magnetic and hyperspacey.
Yeah, or a kaleidoscope where you just
Yeah. All right, we're going to keep moving on. Let's see, we had one by Carolyn. So I think we're going to have to skip over this one, but I did love the loneliness and the unexpectedness of this one, because it feels like there's a picnic table in the middle of nowhere. Why is it there? Who has been picnicking at this table? Who took it out there into the middle of nowhere? Why is it in the snow? So we're going to go ahead and move on to this one from Sharon.
Ooh.
All right, audience members. How does this make you feel?
I'm uncomfortable again. I'm seeing a theme here.
The
Haunting.
image disturbs me. I'm fascinated as to how it was made. I love this image. Love this image.
Disturbing, fascinating, pain, nightmare. Wonder what she is reacting to. Even more uncomfortable. Yeah. Uncomfortable for sure.
I don't even know if it's her hand. And that makes me more uncomfortable. Is it someone else's hand? You know what I mean? And it just, the more I look at it, I'm creeped out.
But there's kind of like this disconnect though between like the weirdness of someone else's hand, but then the expression in the eyes
is very challenging, isn't it?
Position, yeah.
So I think this is one of those examples. When you see something like this, it's the reminder that something like this is not done accidentally, right? Every decision that you can see that is made here is very clearly meant with a purpose. So eyes looking focused still in comparison to the face to the hand, like she's asking for help. That's so interesting because I feel like she is looking at us like she's about to get me.
Yeah, I don't see the help there. Like it.
I think it's the side eye, like.
Yeah.
So let's start pinpointing some of these things that are making us uncomfortable. What is it when we see this that's giving us these feelings?
For me, it's this mixture of high definition, high texture, but still very, very shallow depth of field and this kind of airiness to it. So it's incongruent, right? And it gives it this zombie-like feel outside of the color toning or anything like that. It's just the this weird depth that I keep going in and out of my eyes, focusing on all these different things. That makes me feel uncomfortable. The color toning, the dirt, the oil,
the
grit. Yeah, that makes me feel uncomfortable. And this kind of like zombie-like hyper blue eyes also weirds me out.
Yeah. Also the post-processing where we have this kind of milky film all over the place, especially where the eyes are at, the loss of contrast in the eyes makes them feel not alive.
It feels very tactile too. And of course we have the actual grip of a hand, but then it has like, I feel like I can feel the filminess of it, and there's dirt and then there's hair texture, like very tactile feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. You almost can feel the hand on your face, can't you?
But the discomfort though, I mean, again, that juxtaposition everywhere with the softness and then the sharp texture. And then I do not see fear in the face. Like if the eyebrows were up or, pulled together in some way, or there was more of a squint to the eyes, but they're not, they're relaxed. It's almost like challenging you, like you want to watch.
Yeah. And it's interesting too. I wish I knew who you were, Facebook user. Can you tell me who this one is? Who?
Nina.
Okay. So also saying that might be her projecting some of her life experience there with, that's something we need to know, right? As artists, that visual literacy, that everybody's going to be bringing their experience. A victim, yet necklace, no clothes. What happened? Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of questions here. Yeah, I agree. I find her more uncomfortable than the hand.
Absolutely.
And also interesting as well, the nature of this necklace looks like a dog collar.
Is anyone else getting like sexual tension here? Yeah.
Woof.
Yeah, it feels yeah, sexual tension is the best way to probably put it.
Yeah, other people agreeing. Yeah, it's wild. It is wild.
There's a major disconnect between her expression and the overall mood of the image.
Yeah.
It's not expected.
It is very unexpected. Yeah. So, of course, as you can see, Sharon, she said this image from a set she created a little while ago. We're super glad to have this. It's so interesting and disturbing and tactile and visually stimulating. Like there's so much going on here. Really strongly communicates. And I think we were able to nail down, looking at the texture, the body language, the subject matter, the props that are included, the facial expression, the post-processing, all of these things tying together really purposefully to create these feelings that we have. So, and then finally, Claudia saying, makes me think she's naked and this is part of a game or something like that, but so disturbing. Yep, so much going on here. So well done, Sharon. All right, we're going to continue on because we got lots of things to see here from Claudia. Let's have a look at this. So we see this hand in a spot of light on a wall with a crack in it. How does this image make us feel?
Sad. I'm watching the end of someone.
Doesn't it kind of feel like a last reach for hope, doesn't it? Like the one spot of light.
Totally.
Good to hear from Sharon that some of the impressions are spot on. So glad to hear. That means that you did it, lady. So well done. Helpless, Erica saying.
I mean, the other side of this too is reaching up, kind of awakening to the light, reaching for that light, reaching for the warmth, regardless of the environment. It's giving me this kind of split between that hopelessness and nothing but pure hope. And I don't know which way I feel about it just yet, but because of the color and it being the reds and a little bit more yellows, and there's kind of this dangerous, sad feel to the color toning, I'm leaning more towards the end versus something more hopeful where I think the color palette would be a little bit different.
Right. Well, and I think that there's really great symbolism here too in this crack. Right? Like What is this? Is this? It looks like light shining through a water reflection. But it just is so, it's a great symbolism for me because we have this hand coming out of the darkness into the light. There's a crack that's happening here. There's some texture going on. The fingernails are white too, which also visually is kind of a really interesting choice. Claudia saying I was feeling very depressed, was actually taking a shower and decided to photograph my hands, and it helped. Reminds me of Liz Taylor, like a lead scene in a Liz Taylor movie. Feels like the moment just before something.
So I actually really liked looking at these as a series.
I did too. I debated whether to grab all of them together or one, but I thought maybe seeing just one would really force us to like condense, you know.
Yeah.
Carol nailed it with the lifeline comment. And I don't know why that strikes home for me, but lifeline, it just seems to connect a lot of things for me, whether it's end of life or beginning of life, but it's really interesting. Good call.
Yeah, I think it's really compelling. Because there's almost a part of you also that wonders, was this image taken vertically or was this a horizontal image of a hand laying on the ground that was lifted? Right? Like, and even all of the grain that's included, in a way, I feel like adds to the sense of realism of the shot, makes it feel less processed, less contrived.
I like the delicacy in the hand.
Yeah.
Also, like Carolyn just mentioned, that it feels very feminine. And, even if it was just feminine looking hand, but it was clenched or, scratching or something, that would be giving a very different feel. But it does feel dancerly. It does feel delicate and posed in a way, which kind of adds to that sadness in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with Beck. I love the delicate hand, and I've been staring, like my eye keeps going to the contrast or the I'm not sure if it's contrast, but the white finger, nail polish, and then the white line, the crack itself.
Mm-hmm.
It just keeps going there. I think they're so harmonious together, and that's what I see.
Yeah. It's very simple, and it works so well. Super compelling image, Claudia. Well done. Continue moving on. So we've got an image from Sisela here. So oh no. My hubby says I have man hands, so I appreciate her delicacy and sad beauty. Oh, smack him around a little bit with your man hands. All right, so let's look at this image. Friends in the audience, how does this make us feel when we see it?
Old Western movie.
I feel like I'm about to go off on an adventure.
Caravan.
Ooh,
I would
caravan.
like to raise the motion that all photos of Iceland are cheating because there are no bad ones.
Word.
Unfair. Awestruck.
This one makes me feel small. Like the first one did, I feel infinitesimally small. And I actually said that on bourbon. How's that?
See, if I saw this image, I would think it's a painting, not a photo.
Yeah, it feels like brushstrokes for sure. That sweep in the mountains.
Ooh, Erica's saying it feels like endless possibilities.
Hey, Erica, I was just about to say that. No.
That's right. Oops, sorry, that changed a little bit. I'm just trying to grab Carol's. Sorry, Melissa, we'll get to yours in just a second. I like what my hands can do. Climb every mountain came into my head immediately. I'm glad that you said that, Carol, because I remember And this is kind of a little bit of a tangent, but there was a time, so I always used to have long fingernails. As a girl and a young woman, my thing was long fingernails and painted nails. Like, it just made my hands feel so pretty. I just thought, oh, they so pretty, because I have kind of stubby fingers. So having long fingernails made me feel like a lady. And then when I started climbing, of course, you can't climb with fingernails. So I hacked them all off. And I remember it was kind of emotionally painful for me a little bit to feel like, oh, now I've got, oh, my hands are, oh. But then I realized, no, my hands are capable, and they're beautiful because they're capable. And that was a really big change of mindset for me. I don't like them because of what they look like. I like them because of what they can do and what they can make. And I think that's a really powerful sentiment. So I would hate to travel across the plains. This feels so cold and sparse, but so beautiful. That sparse. Okay, hang on. I have a word. There's a word, a really good word for when there's like nothing around.
Desolate.
It's not desolate, but it's close. God. I'm going to find the word. But yes, it has that feeling. Power. Ooh, that's a good one. Damn it. The word that I want is almost, it's sparse and desolate, but it also has to do with contrast. Mother flapper. I'm going to find it. I'm going to find a thesaurus.
And I can't tell if those are houses or horses down at the bottom, both of which I'm inclined to believe.
Horses. I think they're horses. It's not super clear, or they could even be bushes. Or those are cars, and that's a road.
Well, that's why I said an old Western movie with a caravan with horses.
In a little bit.
I bet they're those
horse and
ponies.
buggy.
Yeah. Love this. I didn't think I could feel colder than I feel right now, and I do.
Nah.
Violently arise.
Yeah, look at that. And the
Great way of
lines.
describing Iceland. Yep.
I am once again in the chapel of nature and praising.
And I mean, the color tones in this are great too, right? They just add this calming sense. The gradient from light to dark, from top to bottom, is just it's beautifully done.
The word that I wanted was stark.
Stark.
Yeah, just when there's nothing, but there's that contrast, that stark contrast, right? Sky, mountain, land, flat land, like she said, violently rising mountains. Like there's a stark quality to that I love. Stabby mountains, very angry. All right, since we can't stay too long, I think it was clear, Sisela, we loved it, beautifully done. We're now going to move on to something by Viviana. So let's take a second to have a look at this one, and then we want to hear, so friends in the audience, how does this one make us feel? Gut reactions, don't try to put too much into it yet.
How? That's my question. How? That's my first feeling. This also kind of has that biological feel. Like I feel like I'm tiny inside a microscope or floating around.
Planetary.
I have a contemplative, like something about it that is contemplative for me. Yep, I will zoom. Life. We have some really beautiful, sharp, crisp detail here. Macro mode on the phone is winning.
Yeah, no kidding.
Even just that by itself would make a really cool image. And I feel like there's several ways you could crop this. It would still be super rad.
You can even flip it vertically and it may look, not just cropped. You can flip it anyway and probably get something.
Yeah, I mean, cool that way.
Yeah, planetary is actually what I'm thinking also, Matt.
I love that too. That would remind me of coming up out of the earth into space.
Yeah.
It's so interesting how like both, I mean, this and Wind's example too, like it could feel so far, like the scale can go very drastically in one direction or another.
So let me go back over and grab some of our new comments. Planetary, like life cells. She likes the close up. Very cool. Definitely at a cellular level, like somebody sneezed on a windshield. Yes, I agree. Like that's the different layers there really make it something very cool. So what is it that's making us feel this way, guys? How can we, in a kind of abstract image like this, how do we start to pull together what's making us feel?
I was just about to mention the word vast when Sharon dropped it into the comments. And I'm serious because it's this that clearly connects me to space, and space fascinates me. And the vastness of that with this planet behind whatever these objects are, asteroids, space dust, whatever. It just gives me this feeling like I'm looking at something that looks small, but I know is massive. And it just happens to be captured from, far distance. I love this image.
I mean, that shallow depth really is what makes it so kind of interesting, because it doesn't, like, often when you shoot with very shallow depth of field, right, your plane of focus tends to feel very close to your eye, and this feels further away and kind of gives
That's true.
That of larger scale, even though it's not, which is interesting.
Yeah, the contrast here is definitely beautiful on a lot of levels. I mean, the contrast between the blue and the dark, it's almost a black, the contrast between sharp and soft, the contrast in distance. There's a lot of really smart use of contrast here.
And it creates these very distinct shapes. There's not really a lot of like bleeding into one another.
Right.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. I mean, I could see this, I could definitely see this on a wall somewhere. It would be the kind of thing you could walk by that would still give like a sense of feeling to a room, but you could also stop and really examine it and still be like, cool. Okay, we still have more to see, people. So
it would make for a great background on social content. So
it would actually. It would. All right, so now we're going to grab an image from Carol. So let's have a look at this, and then we'll share how it makes us feel. All right, y'all. So how does this make us feel? Friends in the audience, give us a comment.
When I was in college, one of my astrophysics classes, we were using pinhole cameras to look at eclipses. And I feel like that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking into a box where I'm seeing a reflection of whatever I can't look at behind me. It feels like I'm getting a light through something, through a pinhole, and it's scattering and it's, replicating. And I love this feel. I just don't know what I'm looking at. Is it the moon? Is it a fingernail? Is it just a cusp of light? I don't know.
I know Carol will share it with us, but I took a photo like this during the eclipse a couple of years ago, but it was coming through tree shadows. Yes, that's how it happens. It was through the tree shadows. It was amazing that it does this. Carolyn and I thinking the same page here. Like a cozy sweater took me back to being a kid playing with the feathers out of my pillow. Oh, that's great.
I have no idea why, but all I can think of is an early 1900s black and white movie. You're sitting in the theater, and that's kind of the opening flickering screen. Don't know what. That's what I see.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. Oh, this is a great one too. Reminds you of sequins reflecting light. I could see that for sure. Also kind of that organic feel. I mean, obviously the patterns, super organic, unplanned, just natural looking. I also really love the way that we get to see the differences in the light between how light behaves on a dark surface and then how light behaves as it transitions to the light surface. And then the same thing for the shadows, because the light is the same, but the surfaces are different, which is really cool.
I feel like I'm almost waiting for
Unsteady.
something to happen because it feels like Bassam just said,
Ooh.
like, it feels like a movie theater almost. Like, it feels like a frame. And so it's like you want to look right there to the middle of the frame, but then the eye bounces around outside the frame as well. And I feel like I'm waiting for the beginning of something.
Yeah. The other thing it makes me think of is those optical illusion. It's an optical illusion when we describe colors and tones, and we say it's actually the same luminosity.
Right.
Even if like what's the next one shows you that it's actually the same luminosity, even though it looks completely different.
I'm just wondering from technique standpoint and from the when the image was taken, the sharp definition of the frame. Like, I know it's trees, shadows, and eclipse, but is that something that was in afterwards? Or we're looking through like a shaft of light through a window frame, and it just happens to create this hard light frame? I don't know. I like it. I like the inconsistency in angles in it feels very organic, the shape itself, rather than perfectly square or perfectly rectangle.
Yeah, for sure.
It adds that little bit of tension to kind of like this pattern that's going on, and then there's this tension because I have to absorb the frame at the same time, and it makes me feel uncomfortable because it's not symmetrical.
Right. And the light is not supposed to look like that.
Right.
Like it doesn't appear in half moons. So it's all of those things happening together, which makes it really, really fun. So Carol's saying, obviously, this is one of several different iterations of trying it in different ways. Yeah. Yep. Super, super cool and fun to look at. Oh, wow. Reminds me of protesters in Iran, women wearing hijabs. I've seen similar footage a lot of growing up, so it's not comfortable looking at it. That is a really...
Yeah. Top view of that. Yeah.
That is such an interesting perspective, Sarah. And such a strong reminder of how much the viewer brings to the image. Man, the human brain is cool, y'all. All right, we're going to continue. We want to make sure to try to get through. And speaking of Sarah, here we go, Sarah. We get to look at this lovely image.
This is one that would stop me when I'm scrolling. I would just go back and just
All right, feelings, y'all. Peace, tranquility. That's how I feel.
Nature's beauty.
As much as I want to feel the peace and this gentle breeze that's flowing through this, it's that one off to the left. It's like the mustache hair that keeps going into my nose, and it's just throwing me off. But the other shapes and the curves just feel so feminine. We were talking about it before. Feels very feminine, feels very soft. And I
sang that.
Love that.
Carolyn, in my head, I sang that.
So maybe just because...
You know, it's funny that you mentioned... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I just... My own weird creative headspace, but it's like I get the sense of calm and the dreaminess but then it feels like it's a hand.
Like this?
And I want to know what strange creature it's attached to.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me. So Viviana mentioning the asymmetry, Matt, you mentioned that too. I actually really like that little guy coming off at the bottom. There's something about it that balances things for me. I don't know why. I really like the thumb. I can't pinpoint why though. Like I couldn't give you a good concrete reason why I feel like it should be there. I just like it. Colors feeling crisp and wintry, can hear crunching footsteps. Simplicity, Sissela saying. So we've mentioned, go ahead, Bassam.
Sorry, if you go back to the other photo, we saw that blue and that combination of blue and yellow again, same conveys the same feeling, you know, that serenity, and I love the way the transitions between the colors on this one.
Yeah,
the blue and the yellow.
Me too. And I think you're right, Carol. I think this it gives it personality and individuality. I think that might be it. It's not too perfect, which is something that it seems to make me want to like it more. Also, I agree, Bassam. This blue, this maybe overcast sky at sunset feeling is kind of how it feels to me. And I love, here we have, you know, our light source. I love that. Ooh, I think of dancing.
But at the same time, as the more I look at it, I'm seeing these tiny spikes, and it makes me feel like it's this untouchable beauty, right? Like if I grab this, it's gonna hurt me, you know? So it's those spikes are weirding me out, man. Beautiful photo, though. I love this.
Melissa gets me.
Yes.
I guess I have a question. So I'm torn between feeling like it's drooping and feeling like it's caught in motion. I don't know if
this feels to me like the after movement pause, right?
Yeah.
Like the wind is blown. That's what it feels like when I look at it.
Nicole, I don't do this often, but can you flip it over just for fun?
Mm-hmm.
I know I asked for that earlier, but I just want to see. I'm thinking what it would look like upside down.
I don't do it
upside
often,
down?
but every time.
Upside down, you said, Bassam?
Yeah, just flip vertically. Yeah, you could do it with that.
Now it's dancing.
Its skirt is blowing in the breeze.
Or
it's the sexiest broom I've ever seen.
Carol's very upset. No. It definitely, when you do that, it definitely feels strange, doesn't it? It's a ghost now.
Yeah, that's really interesting to me because I feel like upside down, it has this brilliant sense of life. It feels less zombie hand and more active sprite, you know? Fascinating.
Yeah, it's very, very fun. I would hang this if I had a hotel or somewhere. This would be on the wall in there, just to walk by and be like, and then keep going. Like that's what I would do with it. Okay.
The more I look at it, the more I'd put this next to like a John Wayne Gacy clown photo. Like it's just making me feel uncomfortable second by second, man. Like move
those
on.
Pokey little seeds. All right. Thank you for sharing this, Sarah. I think it's very beautiful and comfortable.
Love you, Sarah.
All right. Here we go by Michelle. God, this makes me want to be out there barefoot. This makes me want to feel the mist on my skin.
This is oddly specific, but this makes me feel like I'm at a track meet in high school in San Francisco in the fog and the eucalyptus trees.
I love it.
Oddly specific?
Yes.
The first word that popped to mind for me was Bridgerton, right? I feel like I'm in this kind of 18th, 19th century kind of English bog area. And yeah, I'm loving the serenity of this. I love the mystery of it. It's gorgeous. I could composite you into this, Nicole, I think, and it would just be perfectly fitting.
You could.
Yeah, this is
I
great.
can hear raindrops on the leaves.
Yeah.
That papery tick, 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 tick.
It's
I
damp.
find
It's
it-
moist, it's humid.
yeah.
I
I find it Harry Potterish. It's almost like the distorted, as they're running and the forest is getting distorted in front of them as they run through it. You see the trees falling and the ground lifting up.
Yeah, the framing is really nice.
I'm
Oh,
bothered a bit by the white tree that's on the right hand side. I don't
This
know
guy
why. It's
right
just
here.
my eye keeps going to it.
his light colored bark.
Yeah.
There's a sense of inviting melancholy. You want to be walking through this heartbroken.
Inviting melancholy is a great way to describe this.
Melissa gets me. I feel like a literary character I'm trying to turn my husband into is going to ride out on his white horse so I don't have to walk home in the rain, even though my hair is on point in the rain. Yeah, you do. You want to be the heroine in a gothic romance, standing out there in your dress in the rain.
It almost has, and forgive me for saying this. I'm not sure who created it, but forgive me for what I'm about to say. It almost feels like a Thomas Kincaid painting, right? Where you've got this kind of like mysterious little house in the back. And I keep forgetting that this is an iPhone picture or a phone picture. And I keep thinking it's like a fantasy painting that I'd find in my grandmother's house, right? That's the feel that I get from it. Doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I'm just saying
on velvet, on
velvet, perhaps. Yeah. Or, back of a Reader's Digest, but it's a beautiful photo. I love it. It's just, that's the feeling that it gives me.
Wuthering Heights, 100%. Yep. Tyler also mentioning that because the ground at the edge slopes down, there's a kind of feeling of discomfort there to the fact that it's moving down the hill. That Sarah would like to know where this place is at. I feel like the leaning trees means there's water there. I'd be heading for the water's edge. I love breaking these down and hearing the way that our kind of it does have a kind of grandmother-esque art quality. I love hearing how we have some of these kind of shared cultural experiences that we have through even just things like reading. Like Wuthering Heights doesn't necessarily have a single image, right? But there's visual pictures that happen in your head when you read Gothic romances like that. And this is certainly something each of us carry around. And it's so cool to see for those of us who can make that connection.
I think the interesting thing too, right? A lot of people would look at this and say it's a picture of trees and grass. We've come up with 15, 20 different stories about what this one image could be. And I think there's a really important part in there as we're thinking about visual literacy and as we're creating images, that there's a story in a lot of different things where it doesn't have to necessarily be a big conceptual piece. It can be something like this, composed well, toned well, and there's story to it. It's interesting. I want to look at this for a while and keep imagining, the stories that come from it. So I think that's an important thing, that it's not just trees and grass.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a reminder for folks, if you want your name to be able to show up, StreamYard asks that you give them permission to have access to what your name is on Facebook. So whenever we do one of these, there will usually be at the top of the post something of a link. Click on that, give it permission. It will allow Facebook to show us your name. And Melissa's got a great point here. We're carrying these around in our phones. Look at the art that people have in their phones, y'all. Like, that is crazy town. Yep. We bring the story to the image. It's such a cool thing to think about. Okay, we got to keep moving so we can get to the end of these because we're already a little bit past our hour here. But I want to make sure we show as many as possible. I loved this one the moment I saw it.
This is more my speed for the romance novel.
Oh, this has got it too. Just a different kind, right? This is not a Gothic romance. This is This is a different guy. There's a really fantastic sense of atmosphere. I want to be out here just walking. I don't even want anybody else with me. I just want to be walking and listening to the sounds.
I can hear the music coming from this kind of Irish pub and smell the Guinness and the despair and the random hookups late at night. And, it's just this desolate where it's either before hours or after hours because there's no one sitting outside. So it's very late at night. I love this feeling of loneliness, but the city's not asleep yet. It's just those few moments between night and dawn where this privacy happens throughout the city, and I feel like I'm caught in that moment.
You know what? You just red hot chili peppered me there, Matt. Sometimes I feel like I don't have a partner.
Sure, we could sit under a bridge, do heroin.
Sometimes
That's cool.
I feel like my only friend is the city, right? I mean, let's not take it all the way to the heroin under a bridge, but that feeling that the city is your friend also. The city is also
It's
your
alive.
person. Like you're not alone when you're in the city, right?
Also very interesting, this difference in architecture here. Like it feels
right,
like a cute, quaint little pub, and then we've got these high rise in the backgrounds.
Yeah, so we have obviously
Right,
we've got this kind of historical, we've got these flying buttresses happening, and we've got all of this fun stuff of this Irish pub, and then we've got these skyscrapers, very modern back here. So definitely some great contrast. We've got some friends on bikes and a couple walking down the street together.
I want to go somewhere called Grace O'Malley's. I want to leave my house.
Right, someday. I've heard of it in stories. Jersey City, they have made great changes to their downtown. That's great to know. And this, Marjorie, this is on your travels, I have to assume, yes? Feels safe yet interesting, so much to explore. Viviana can hear the music too. You want to go in there and sing an Irish drinking song and pound on the bar with your fists and do an Irish car bomb. Took a picture looking in. Oh, awesome. Yes. Yep. On the travels. Yay. Love see these. All right. So we all kind of had this kind of feeling that we still and we want to be there. Right. And I think honestly, the genius of that is the sense of atmosphere, right? The light that's lighting up this place a little bit. Oh, bland. So sad. It's okay, Irish people. I think it's the light that's happening. I mean, look at the way we're invited into the shot by the bright light down here, by the warm colors, right? By the way that these reds and greens are really lighting up, by the fact that we're moving towards this light. And the doors are open. So there's just something really inviting about that. I think the fact that we don't have an empty sky as well, that we have some of the colors in the sky mimicked in the building, I think also helps make it feel like it's not empty up there. Okay, as once again, we're moving along really quickly. I believe we have, nope, that was it. Yes. Oh, we have covered everybody. Okay, we're about to stop our screen share. First, thank you to everybody who did the January challenge and shared with us your phone pictures. Guys, there's some really fantastic stuff in there. Really cool that we were able to dive into them so deeply. I mean, it would be very easy for us to just have looked at a few snapshots. But we're all making art, even with just a phone that is in your pocket. There's a saying that the best camera is the one on you, right? The best camera is the one that you have in your hand. So I would encourage everybody. I grabbed as many as I could, but there were some images I was not able to grab. So go ahead, hang out in the Facebook group and see what's there. I shared a bunch as well. There's a really fun one. I shared some from my phone that are patterns. It's fire. So if you go and find that one, it's literally fire in prisms. It's cool. And the way that it behaves, I'll share the videos because those are the really cool parts. But go look at the rest of the work on there. People shared some really super cool stuff, and carry this conversation into Facebook. Break those images down, practice those visual literacy skills, flex those visual literacy muscles. Oops, this was fun. Yes, it's the most fun. Looking forward to the next challenge. We'll have to think of something good.
I just looked on my phone. I have nothing close to what we just looked at. I have pictures of my dog.
Dog is art.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I have an idea for the next one.
Yay! Do you want to share it now, or do you want to wait till later?
Either way.
Say it.
So, I quite like computer-generated art. I know I talked to you about this the other day, but I mean, this has been like an ongoing interest of mine. I think it's very, very interesting. And I think, I mean, there's like websites where you can go and you can just like make the robot make you random images. And I think it could be very interesting if everyone goes out and makes their own, or, picks a favorite, and then we compare them and see, what we all differently see using our visual literacy skills in those.
Ooh, so we want to go get some AI generated art, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so do we have good ones where we can share links in the Facebook group so everybody do we want to try to send everybody to the same place so that we're coming from the same place, or do we want to look for? Okay.
Yeah.
So.
The website that I love that's free to use, it's called Artbreeder, and it's just like super weird, and I love using it just for generating kind of random ideas, like looking at how shapes and colors play with each other. So I mean, I'll drop the link just if anyone wants to go play with it and just kind of look at it. We can think on that idea a little bit more. But just the randomness of it can lead to some very interesting visual conclusions.
Yeah, and it would be a great exercise in our brain muscles, I think, as well, because it is going to remind us, even though the fact that this is AI generated, that we're bringing our own experiences to the table, which should be really fun. So I think that's a cool idea. All right, y'all. So coming up to the end, any final thoughts, guys? Anything you want to say before we close down for today?
This is a lot of fun. I'm glad there's so many people showed up and kind of joined us to look at some of these images and just kind of offer what they felt. Felt like a big group hug. Sometimes the clubhouse doesn't necessarily feel that way, and just being able to see you guys and interact with everybody else, I think it was just a lot of fun. So I love doing these things. I can't wait for next time.
Me too. Having everybody with us today, having so many people with us hanging out and participating, this was like the best thing ever. We love you guys so much. Please always come to these things. Don't leave us without you.
Yeah, I felt like we're actually, I mean, there's so many people here today. It's the first time we have so many people. Although we have our hardcore that have always been there, but we have a lot more people today. And I felt like we're actually together and not just on Facebook. Like we're actually sitting in a living room and hashing it out. And that's how it felt.
It's so nice.
I think the interaction was great. And thanks to everybody for actually, commenting so much, because that helps.
I'm very grateful that everyone shared their photos too. Like this is kind of an intimidating challenge, like especially for those of us who come from photo backgrounds. Like we have our big shiny SLRs and all our lighting equipment, and like having to walk away from that. So like I know I was sitting around like my phone and like with the prism and like pieces of glass in the sun, and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like having to tap back into younger me who was so excited to like explore like abstract expressionism with my camera before I knew what I was doing. So it was kind of interesting in itself to tap back into that more organic beginner kind of feeling. So I'm glad everyone came out to play and shared something.
Yes, me too. And moving faces. It's nice to see moving faces when you're just used to listening to voices. So yeah, we're so glad everybody participated and joined. Thanks everyone for the comments. So fun, very vulnerable for me, but thank you all. You all inspire me and make me want to share my art. You are wonderful, Claudia. Thank you.
That's Jean.
Oh, hi, Jean. We miss you, Jean.
Hell yeah, Tyler.
That's right. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. All right, y'all. I know we're going to have to start closing down, but thank you again. You guys are truly amazing. This community is my favorite place on the interwebs. I'm so glad that we get to have you guys be here with us together and sharing art and practicing our art skills and just holding each other up and lifting each other up and learning together. It's my favorite thing ever. So everybody who shared your work in the Facebook group, you guys are amazing. Big ask from you. We want to be able to do this for more people. We want to spread the word about how we learn to think like an artist, see like an artist, practice our visual literacy, all of the things that we talk about. We believe that they're beneficial, and we want to try to do this for as many people as possible. So if you could, will you please let other people know that we're here, share a blog post with them, share a podcast with them, ask them to come join the Facebook group, remind them that we're here so we can bring them along and into our warm little circle as well, so that we can help as many people as we can. If you could do that, that would be amazing. Of course, we're going to be together again tomorrow morning, bright and early at 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 6 a.m. for the West Coast, 9 a.m. for the East Coast. And then we'll be having more discussions, so come be part of that. And in the meantime, thanks again. Can't wait to see you guys in the morning. Have a good one, everybody. Go make something amazing. Bye.
Bye, y'all.